I reached out to my friends at Hongduo and said, you know what, our next collaborative tool should be a coping saw. And that's why today I'm so excited to announce the KM-19, which is a combination coping fret saw and has a bunch of new features that none of these coping saws have. So come on into the bench, let me show you what these can do and tell you about some of the development hurdles that we had to get over. Right, I've been waiting for this. Okay, are we ready? When I first started this channel, I said it would always be about making, and it is. That's what I do. I show you what I'm making. There's no affiliate link here or anything like that. I purchased this with my own money. I'll be completely honest with you, but it's a tool I'm going to use a lot. So I haven't bought myself a new tool in a very, very long time. So I thought I'll spend my Christmas money and treat myself. Anyone who follows the channel will probably agree that I add dovetails to a lot of my projects and I enjoy doing them. Now, when I'm dovetailing, there's different methods of removing waste. Okay, and in particular, in between dovetails or removing pins, you have to have a method of removing this waste. Obviously, saw down your dovetails, but this waste in the middle has to be removed. And there's loads of ways of doing it. I see loads of people online, they actually chisel away, they chisel it out. Absolutely fine. It's not the way I like to do it, but you know, whatever way you like doing. I personally like to cut it out with the least amount of cutting possible. Call me lazy, maybe it's efficient, I don't know. But personally, I like to get in there and just cut it out as easily as possible. So that takes us down the fret saw line of things. Fret saw, coping saw. So where do we go with that? I started, there we go. That's my first one. As you can see, you can adjust the angles of the blades. It's not easy. You have to undo this, loosen the blade, twist it, do it back up, and then you can have different angles of the blade. However, this moves, it twists, and that is as tight as you can get it. And for rigidity, it's really not wonderful. Yeah. So from that, I obviously then did research online, YouTube videos, and discovered obviously the new concept saws. This here, just the basic 5-inch, nothing fancy, just the basic saw is all I need. I don't need any fancy tightening mechanisms or anything like that. The blades, once they're in there, because I generally only use these for dovetailing or woodwork, I don't normally have to thread the blades through holes and things like that. So once it's set up, all I have to do when I'm not using it, slacken off the blade a little bit and put it down. My love of this is the weight. Yeah, it's so light and you can hold on to it for a long time. Couple of downsides is how tight you can, again, rigidity. I'm heavy-handed. As I've told you in the past, I don't have any feeling in this arm. So I can be very heavy-handed with things, and that doesn't help. And this, it concerns me sometimes. I know it's really, I mean, it's fantastically made. It really is. I really love these saws. It's just, it's not 100% rigid. I've noticed also when I tighten up, as I'm, does anyone know the actual key? Is there a correct key I should be hearing? Pitch, key? I don't know. Anyway, I've noticed when I'm over tightening to get some sort of rigidity here, the saw bows slightly. It just makes me uneasy that I'm damaging the tool. It's not dangerous, I just think I'm damaging the tool. This has been my saw of choice for dovetailing, gosh, since 2019 probably, maybe earlier. Fantastic saw, to the point, and she's got 2 of them, okay. Like I said, these go up in price considerably. I think when I purchased these were £65 £2 each, I think. But these really are the basic. The 5-inch, it's great for dovetailing. It's normally enough to get all the way through without having to angle the blades. With these, if I want to angle these blades, I actually have to hold a pair of pliers and physically bend the blade, which, you know, essentially it's not accurate and you're weakening it. But I'll always be faithful to these. These are great saws. Now, the whole reason of this video. It's here, finally. Well, not finally, I didn't have to wait long. I've purchased a few things from the Katz-Moses store. In the past, they're always here really quickly, and they're always great products. So, we got this. Open up here, always great packaging. Look. The washers. Oh yeah. So, okay. Let's have a look, see what we got. Wow. You can tell straight away that's not bending. This is quite a bit of kit. So putting the handle on. Oh, I can't wait to use it. I've been playing around with this for a while. Now, the advantage of this is it holds pin blades, as in there's a cross T-pin across there, yeah? But it also has other ends to fit fine, thin blades without the pin. So the advantage of these is they can be threaded through tiny holes and then attached to the saw, and you can cut internal holes, okay? Which you can't always do with these pins. Yeah. The advantages of this saw is that it's got predetermined angles, so you can undo them and rotate these round so that you can actually rotate the saw around the piece that you're cutting to get it in the right angle, so you can get the saw at the right angle and also have the handle clearing the wood. Anyway, to do that, you have to set up, and this is probably me, but I'm getting myself in a right pickle, shall we say. Let me explain. To get this set up, to put a blade back in, now this came already set up, but I didn't really check at the time. It says to get things set up, you need to get this line here marked, lined up. Now, so let me see if I can show you. Can you see in there? As I rotate that, yeah. So that is lining up. That's where we're supposed to line up. Okay. So I'm going to lock that down in that one position. Okay. So that is lined up there. Okay. And do the same to this one. Okay. That's locked in place. Okay. Now, the problem I'm having, let's move back out, is we undo these and we can take them out. According to the instructions, having that lined up there will allow me to install that vertically, which will then allow the blade to hang the correct way. Excuse the shaking hands. Like so. Okay. And like I said, this is probably me. I do accept that. I'm having trouble getting this in here and it actually be at the 90-degree vertical. It's not. It's off at the 45 degrees. Let me try and see if I can. You see there? Am I doing something wrong, or is it right? You see I'm lined up, look. But that's not vertical, so that tells me, because it doesn't matter if I rotate that anyway, it's always going to be there. So I think, not sure, but it's not going to stop me using it obviously, but I believe, come on, I'll stop shaking, that this needs to actually, for this to work right, it needs to rotate 1 notch round. But no, now that's not. What on earth am I doing wrong? Hold on. What am I missing here? Do I need to rotate that 1 to bring it back? Oh, this is technical for a fret saw. Or is it just me? Am I missing the point here? I need to get a chair, actually, is what I need to do. Right, okay. Sorry, I've had to sit myself down because I'm getting awkward. What I'm trying to do, and look, this again, I'll say it's probably me being me, but what I'm trying to do is get this. I didn't see when I first took it out the pack what position it's in. I must be missing something. Let's get this line back up. There's only limited positions that can go in. So that's on the... I don't know what I'm doing wrong. This is silly. So lining that up with the groove in here, which isn't what it says there. It says have that upright with the groove in there. Having that in line is the one that's allowing me to get the rotations that I want, but it's not as it's marked. Or am I'm not missing anything. That's it. And that's it at the top. Right, let me go with that theory here and see if that allows me to set this one up. So if I put that in, so that yeah, okay, right, that's right, but that's not with the marking lines. I'm assuming that it's both sides, so it looks symmetrical. I don't see if there should be anything different. I think those lines are out. I think those markings are out. Now I know. I'm going to line them in that like that. So I've got the line in there, and I'm going to line the groove up with that. Okay. Undo. Rotate that to the top. Okay. Now. I've got these, and there's absolutely no mention at all of what they're for. There's absolutely no mention. I've gone through this. I'm sure I have. And there's honestly no mention. I don't know where these go. Could they be like a buffer? Is it? So let's set it up. Now we need to use this spanner. It does mark it a bit though. Right, so that's the handle done up. Here we go, pin blade. Checking I'm on the pull stroke. Let's slot that in. And the instructions say to tighten the handle one up all the way and then do the tension in from this end. Yeah. But I know in the video these can be done completely up. Jonathan Katz-Moses in the video does it up. Look at that. Okay, look. This is now what I was expecting from this saw. That's wow. Okay. That is one rigid saw. Wow. Okay, it might be redeeming itself. There might just be a little teething error there in the first batch, maybe, but okay. There's no twist. Okay. Cutting dovetails. Depending on the size of the dovetails, for instance, this one, nice big wide pins. Okay. This blade, a lot of people, they like to come in and cut down. and then cut down the other way and then remove the centre. I'll do an example of that in a bit. That's fine. When you start doing smaller pins, that starts to become an issue. Getting that saw blade down there, you'd have to get that blade down the pre-existing saw lines you've already done and turn it. It's becoming difficult. When you come to pins such as these, I think they're referred to as London pins, I might be wrong, feel free to correct me in the comments. That's not working. That really isn't working. Okay, so you have to use the thin pinless blades. Okay, and that's where these used to come in for me, because these, come on, fit down your saw blade all the way down, and with one pull you can twist and you're on the flat, you're on the horizontal, and that allows you then to cut out your pin. Okay, so another example of things that we cut out is when we're actually cutting out the pins, and you can see something like this blade would be quite effective if you wanted to come across. Yeah, again, I'll do a demonstration of that in a bit, but then also on the other end I'll give you an example of how coming down and coming straight across is so much more efficient. But you know, each your own. I'll show you examples. Right, let's do that, and then we'll come back and see how traumatic it is to swap over to a pinless blade. We are using the pinned blade, okay? I'll show you the methods this would be used. So people like to come in, they don't go down this saw line because a lot of the time the kerf on these blades is thicker than the saw they've gone across, especially if you're using a Japanese saw or a dovetailing saw itself. They've got quite a thin kerf, so this actually doesn't always go down there. So what you start off yourself doing is, it's on the pull cut, the first time I'm using this, by the way, I'm going to come down, and start to turn in the back, turn in at the bottom, look, and coming in slowly that we don't hit the dovetail. Okay, and then come in the other way, checking the underside. Okay, now personally I find that a bit awkward coming the other way, but my right hand really doesn't work properly these days. However, there we go, look, cut out, no chiseling, very quickly the pin is removed. Okay, the other style, let's get the other style here as well. Okay, now I know I'm covering dovetailing here, but this is where I can show you its uses. This is where I'm going to be using it. We're obviously rip cutting here. Start off. You can definitely see the tension there is really helping. Like I said to you, this isn't my preferred way of doing this. I'll show you mine in a bit. It just seems like a really excessive amount of sawing. I know this is birch, it's quite hard, but oh, come on. This is exhausting me. It's not the saw. It's just... Is this just me, or is this blade just utter? I'll say that's more me, not turning, leaving it too late. However, I'm going to try a different blade. Give me a second. I'm going to put something a little bit more aggressive in there. As we know, we should be able to do this up completely till this stops. I did the handle up first, and touch that. So there you go. That's one rigid saw blade. I have to give you that. Now, feel like I should try and redeem this. Now we're cross-cutting. There we go. Okay, that was a lot easier. I'm just going to put a little bit of wax on that. Right, let's come in from this side. There we go. Okay, so blades that came with it, quite fine tooth, that's fine, but this birch needed something a little bit more robust, should we say. That's the method I don't do. However, it's people's methods. Nothing wrong with it. It's just not my choice. But that's a good use of this size blade. Let's now go back and we'll change all this over for the thinner blades that I always use, and I'll show you then my method. We've now done these first ones, look, the wider blade, and let's see why we use the bigger blades, because you can just come across. Okay, you have room to come down and turn. Yeah, same across here. There is room to do this. Seems like a lot of extra sawing, as far as I'm concerned, which is why I always use the thinner blades. So let's swap it over. Now we're going to release the tension of the blade. I'm not going to move these. I'm going to keep these exactly as they are, and I'm hoping that is going to allow me to put these in at the right positions. Hoping. So there we go. Take that out. So now we're going in with this fine blade. Okay, so we need to totally unwind these. I need to remove the handle. So I believe I hold that still. The spanner leaves marks. Right. Yeah, no, I don't have to remove the handle. There we go, look. Let's unwind that until that comes out. Okay. So, this clamps the blade like so. So I need this to be vertical to have the blade cutting that way. So is that going to let me go in? Yes, it is. Is that? Yeah, okay. Now, these blades are a lot shorter. I've already had to play with this. I broke a few blades. Me, being very over heavy-handed. These blades are so much thinner, yeah? You can't do this up, wrench it right up and expect them not to break, yeah? So I haven't even changed the angle of this blade. I'm literally just putting these in as they are. I honestly believe there's just a bit of a setup, an error. However, I've got my head around it and I can use the saw. So that doesn't bother me, really. Might bother other people, but personally, I can live with that. This is me being the problem here. Right hand really doesn't work very well at the moment. And it doesn't really make sense having such a fiddly hobby, does it? I need to make sure I'm going in far enough for it to be gripped, but not too far that I then haven't got room to get it clamped up properly. So that's that. This one, yep, see, I've got enough room there. That's good. It's locked up. So handle's locked up. Now we just need to tension this, but we're not doing it all the way up. All right, that is incredibly tense. I've got a feeling I'm going to break that really quickly. The point I'm going to slacken it off slightly. Concentrate, Neil. Okay, that's in. Handle's tight. That's tight. I think I'm making this look more of a faff than it actually is. It's thrown me off at the start that those lines don't, the marks that should be the lining up don't line up. That's thrown me out a bit. However, now I know how to get past it. We're all good. Now, this is the style blade I use. Sometimes I go slightly larger with a skip tooth. I'm not sure how long this little one's going to last in my hands today. If it does break, I'm going to put the slightly, you can see that, slightly larger skip tooth blade on. That cuts on both directions. Yeah, as this one is pulling on, is cutting on the pull. With this saw, I could put the handle on this side easily and then use it on the push without having to worry about swapping the blade round. However, these this particular blade here, it cuts both directions. Okay, so let's come back over. What we're going to do is we are going to try the slightly smaller pins, and then we're going to do the very small, the London pins. Yeah, and then we'll do this as well. Let's do this first one. See that? Yep. You'll notice with these straight away, these blades go all the way down. We don't have to start in the middle and turn. We can go all the way down. Now, what we have to be careful is we don't breach our shoulder lines. Yeah. So I start slightly higher up and I twist the saw as I'm pulling it. Okay. Then all I do is go as close to the line as I dare, check in front and back. There we go. I don't understand why it's done any other way, to be honest. It's just easy, it's quick. Now, let's see how we get on. Down, twist very easily. Okay. Ooh, feels good. Straight away you can feel the tension makes such a difference on this. With the new concept saw, there's so much flex. But that is a nice sturdy saw. I like that. Okay. Confidence is coming back a lot. Right, let's put the London pins, if that's what we're calling them. I think that is correct. Do correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. Let's go in with the Katz-Moses. Yeah. Nice. Ooh. That's a nice job. Let's go to the next one. Okay, yeah. What I am trying to do at the moment is saw to my lines, not chisel back after sawing. I know shoulders normally have to be cleaned up, but I have to be honest, this is the closest I've sawn, I believe, to my lines without breaching them. Have I? Don't believe I have. I think I've just missed it there. And that blade hasn't snapped. I know you've got to be careful. You know, you have to be careful. You have to be aware you're using these blades. They're tiny and, you know, they are susceptible to breaking. But having that tension over... Hard to show you. Yeah, it's quite a bit of tension. Still love these saws. But that tension is something else. Without deflection. Okay. Last test. Okay, here we go. Genuine first one of these. Yeah. Just staying in my line, yep. Taking time. I should probably have a coarser blade on here. I'll give it that. However, I still think there's a whole lot less cutting than coming across, but again, each your own. If it works for you, do it. Okay. That, I have to say, wow. Okay, I've never, with one of these, I've never stayed as accurate as that. Honestly, I'm not bragging. I'm not trying to brag. Wow. That piece, look how straight that is. That is the tension. I really believe that's the tension doing that. That is just kept, that's just tracked beautifully. Wow, okay. Like I said, I'm trying to cut my lines, reduce the amount of chiseling, because it's less stress on my hands. And you know, it's good practice. That's impressive. I'm really impressed with that. Wow. So, where do we stand? This saw has got so many other applications, cutting wood or cutting metal, but essentially this is what I'm going to use it for. So this is how I want to review it as its usage for me. Like I said, I've used these for a long time, and they're great. It's just you just can't get the tension. It's a very light saw. This is considerably more. I'll weigh them both. This one's here, look. Yeah, make it look like I've done this on purpose. Yeah, this one here. It's the weight here. Okay. If you say you're using it all day, you're going to notice the difference in the weight. You are. There's nothing to. There's no doubt about that. However, you're probably not using it all day, and the rigidity is really good. So we used the larger blade, and we did the diagonally across, and that's about as close as I dared to get. And it's not the neatest of cuts, but it's cut and it's quick. Okay. When that came down to doing the larger pin, this is how many cuts it took me with the larger blade. Okay, that was probably down to the initial blade that I was using that came with the saw itself. I put a much coarser one on and it happened quicker. But it was still been 2 cuts at least, and it's not. There's a lot of material to move there. So we swapped over to the fine blades that I like to use. Again, very tiny. Put this on. We've got it tensioned up, and the first ones I cut. As I said, I come down, don't I? I did the example with the new concept. You see there, this is the new concept one. It's about as deep as I got. It's a nice clean cut across. The second one, as I say, I come down and I turn at the bottom with one or two pulls. I turn, and then that allows me to cut directly across. The problems I've seen in the past is keeping this from drifting can be a bit of a challenge sometimes, and I'm sure it's down to the tension of the blade. We went on to the smaller pins again, and like I said, with these sort of pins, cutting here, you can't get a chisel in there to clean these up, so you have to cut your marks. You have to saw to your marks, and then not want to chisel to clean up the inside. So the only chisel, you need to have a chisel that will actually fit in these pins, otherwise it's pointless. However, that is the closest I've cut to a shoulder line consistently. That's with that. Okay. Still can't believe this much. So that there, yeah, and that came off in one piece. Again, at least 2 cut sections, took quite a while. This one, half the time, it's off in one piece. Maybe I'm missing something, but it just seems the most easiest way to remove waste. This saw has got so many other uses. It really has, so many different materials. But my primary use is going to be wood and dovetailing, things like that. I'll let other people review it for other uses. However, so far, the actual use of this, skipping the confusion at the beginning, the actual use of the tension without the distortion that's, for me, it's wonderful. It's fantastic. This is going to save me a lot of time, I believe, because if I can cut to lines like that with this, and you know, I'm not blaming my tools, not at all. However, if I can cut to lines like that, it will save me time in the future. And like I said, my hands don't work properly a lot of the time, so the less I have to do with them, the better. I'm not going to go too much into the cost of these. It's a personal preference how much you want to spend on tools. I believe these at the time when I bought them in 2019, these were about £62 each, and that was considered expensive at the time, I thought, for buying a saw. However, the use I've had of it, and you know how good they are, I don't begrudge paying that at all. Like I said, I've got two of them. So the cost of this one, the Katz-Moses saw, I got it on the early release price. I don't know actually. I don't know the current price of these. I'll look the current price of these up, and I'll put this up here as well for you. Okay, this one was more expensive. I'm not going to go into prices. You can look it up. In the grand scale of saws, professional saws for this sort of thing, it's not expensive. Those things can be ridiculous prices. Not ridiculous prices. They're beautiful, beautiful tools. But in the grand scale of things, no, it's not really that expensive. Maybe you disagree. I'm sorry if you disagree. It was obviously more expensive because I've had to bring it into England, okay? And obviously there's duties and everything, the duties, taxes that have to be incorporated into bringing something in. So it did make it a bit more expensive, but I had my Christmas money and I hadn't spent it yet. So I thought I'd treat myself. So the problems at the beginning, it shows to line everything up, to get everything set up, you need to have this line lined up, the notch, and that will allow you to have the blade vertical. That's the set position. However, when I do that, the blade isn't the vertical position, it's off. And what I believe there to be the problem is the mark is in the wrong place. It's on the wrong line. The notch, it's on the wrong notch. What I did find was if I line up this groove with the notch, that would then allow me to hold it in the vertical position, but not with the visible notch in the way. I believe this is just a first run problem with a tool. You know, it's the first time they've made this. I got my head around it, okay? And that under no circumstances says anything about the tool. If you want a tool without any teething problems, don't buy the first run of things. I think that's the way to think. But as far as the saw goes and the actual usage, I'm really looking forward to using it. I think it's going to be a great addition to my toolkit. It's going to reduce the amount of work I have to do, and I really don't do a lot these days. As you probably noticed, I've been doing small projects with different joints and things like that because I'm not up to doing big projects at the moment. I have to sit down a lot. I can't do big projects, so kind of why I'm doing a tool review as well. However, this is going to make my life easier. Honestly believe it'll make my life easier. Maybe that's me just liking a new shiny tool. Maybe it isn't. But there we go. I hope this is useful. Like I say, I'm not going to be doing tool reviews. This isn't something you can expect regularly. However, I thought this was something I could actually give some insight on. You know, is it something that's going to be useful? It certainly is for me. I'll still be using these, but I think you can see the difference. This is on a different level, machine-wise. It's just nice. It's heavy duty. It's not heavy. Yeah, I really like it. I'm really looking forward to using this. I think it's going to save me time, save me a bit strain in my arms, and yeah, I think you're going to see it in my future videos. Thanks for watching. Hope this has been useful, and I'll see you soon.